Hello and welcome. Let me start off by saying thank you. It means a lot to me that you've clicked on the video in the first place. You may notice that I may keep looking over here to my laptop because otherwise I'll lose track, go off topic, and then we'll be here for
A few moments later.
just waffling about nonsense. Don't need that.
More moments later.
So, it's not funny. I'm hoping that we can come here to discuss, talk, but understand ourselves. In turn, we'll grow to understand each other. Thank you for being here. And let's start off with some thoughts. We're brought into this world without knowing what's ahead, what's involved. We've got no knowledge. There's a fine line between nature and nurture on what really plays the biggest part. And I would say both play a key role in our development. Our parents teach us one thing, our grandparents teach us one thing, we learn as we grow up, but then we inherently do things for society, or I guess more so for people around us, how we look at society, how society sees us. So let me ask you my first question. These questions may get you angry, they may get you sad, they may get you happy, whichever way, it doesn't, we're all human and they're all human emotions. I'm not here to teach you anything, I'm not here to point you in any sort of direction or any which way. I just feel like maybe together we could collectively learn and evolve in a better direction than whichever way we're evolving now. So, my name is George. I'm 29, I'm a male. You can call me whatever you want, he, she, it, them, they, whatever. It doesn't faze me, whichever which, doesn't bother me. I have battled depression and anxiety for a good few years of my life. I believe to an extent that I've got undiagnosed ADHD, but in England trying to get an NHS appointment is beyond a joke. So I have self-medicated with cannabis before. Nothing wrong with a bit of Mary Jane. To an extent, you've got to control yourself. That's something that I've had to learn the hard way. I learned that when I tried to quit and ended up replacing it with alcohol, which isn't a good thing to do, swapping one vice for another. During my growing up, mum and dad were not together, and I spent the majority of my childhood with my mum. I'd been sexually assaulted by people I trusted. But this isn't about that. This isn't the sob story. I don't want you to think that I'm coming on here for anything, for remorse, for tiny violins. Being in depression and being in a sort of place of isolation, it's left me thinking, it's left me pondering. But these questions that I will ask you are nothing that I haven't asked myself until I can answer them. They will always be with me, and until I can say for certain that, yeah, actually I feel this way about this or this way about this. It's more for yourself, it's more food for thought. I want to grow a community here and I want to see what other people think on this. So, am I truly happy? The only thing I'm happy about is my partner. She's my world. She's the reason that I continue to do what I do. I've started this and it's given me a new sense of a purpose, a new sense of direction. Not saying that I believe in any which way, and I'm not saying that I don't believe in certain things, but there is there is like an itch, I guess you could say, or a calling, or whatever you prefer to say, but there is something that drives me to want to do this, to speak to you, to be honest with the people. That maybe it's the fact of everything just in the world just seems to be a bit, yeah. I'm one of those people who hasn't yet learned to love myself. Now, I look after myself. I do go to the gym, not 5 days a week, not religiously, and sometimes I won't go, but I'll do a home workout. I'll do some push-ups and some sit-ups, maybe some squats. But you know, I have good days, I have bad days, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure plenty of other people out there have good days, have bad days. We all do. But there is a big difference between loving yourself and then loving yourself to a point where you've got an ego. Personally, I know that I've gone around thinking, yeah, I'm better than that person, I've got better than that person. And in retrospect, I'm not. And I could be driving a Ferrari, which I'm not. And I'm still not the best person. I never would be. There's always someone bigger than you, always someone smarter. But yeah, I just think that there is a fine line between loving yourself, understanding your self-worth, and, well, thinking that you're God's gift, really. Anyway, my next thought is, do I like this life? Now, I like this life. Even with depression, anxiety, even with any sort of isolation, I do. I appreciate the fact that I can wake up the next day and see my partner, see Amy. I've had to learn that bit of appreciation. I've had to understand that bit of appreciation and take a step back, analyse myself and analyse what, in a sense, makes me happy and why I felt the way I did. When I was an apprentice, my cousin, well, I say my cousin, but he was my cousin's partner, and I'd known him for, I think, maybe from when I was 12 years old. So I'd known him like half my life, pretty much. And I thought of him as my brother. But one day he dropped me off at home after we'd been at work one day, and he had said to me, "I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning." Cool, I'll see you then. Enjoy yourself. And then I got a phone call from my grandma telling me that he had collapsed in his kitchen. And it puts it into a perspective where you don't know what could happen. You know, you don't. I might see you tomorrow, I might not. I might be here tomorrow, I might not. And we don't really appreciate it until that person is gone. If I'd known that, I don't know, maybe I would have spent more time with him. I would have said, "Don't get out of the van," or "Come sit down for a bit." It wasn't anything he had done. It's just his heart had decided to pack it in. The other question that I've got is that all that I am? When I asked myself that question, I found myself asking, who was I? I still don't quite understand. Still don't understand. I'm still learning who I am. I think you learn that every day. If you understood yourself perfectly, what you wanted, what you desired, what made you happy, what made you sad, I think a little bit of enjoyment out of the world might be taken. Part of life is not knowing, and I think that's That's what keeps us going. If you knew, what would be the purpose? When I asked myself that question, I found myself finding out that wherever I went out in public, even in my own home, I would always wear a mask. It wouldn't be one that I'd want to wear. It wouldn't really reflect me. It would just allow me to continue and manage through that situation or the instance that I didn't really want to be in, that I couldn't manage as myself. So I developed this mask or this alter ego to help see me through to the other side, and then that became a problem. I got used to them. I got used to wearing them to the point where I'd take them off and there'll be a blank canvas underneath. Understanding why, not even why, but understanding the fact that I'm always angry, always holding some sort of anger, helps me understand of why I'm annoyed the way I am. But I try to keep a calm lid on things these days. I don't want to get fazed by, I don't want to get fazed. I don't want to carry the anger around anymore. It doesn't do me any favours. It doesn't lead me anywhere. It's not motivating me. It's not driving me for anything. It's an emotion that is useful, but too much becomes chaos. It becomes a problem that I found in myself. Situations that needed addressing with sadness or remorse or a level of empathy were phased out because I couldn't help but see rage or red, which made me only see things from my perspective or how I wanted to see them, how they made me feel. A few weeks ago, I had an instance where someone had cut me up in traffic. Looking away from it, it wasn't maybe that long, it was probably about 5 seconds after. Have you ever had that instance where you're in your bedroom or you're sat somewhere, you're just doing something and out of nowhere a thought pops into your head and you can't help but shake the shame or the embarrassment of this thought. Even it could have happened 5 months ago, it could have happened 6 years ago, whatever it did, but you're just like, oh, I can't believe I did that. This was it, but it happened just instantaneously. It just happened like that straight after. And I thought to myself, why did I do that? Why did I react in that way? I swore at home, I flipped off at home.
Stop it. Get some help.
I insulted home.
What the fuck?
I couldn't. I just thought, how dare you? How dare you inconvenience me in such a way like that? And then shrug your shoulders. As I drove away, I thought, well, are they dead? No. Am I dead? No. Am I hurt? No. Is anything damaged? No. Maybe your ego might be a bit bruised, or maybe, your feelings got hurt, but at the end of the day, life carries on, They went home, I went home. It doesn't matter, but it didn't matter, really. I just had to move on, accept, bite the bullet. So what, got cut up, moved on from it. But that leads me on to my next question. Why do we take criticism to heart? I studied performing arts in college, and it gave me, I like to believe, a level of thick skin. It gave me a level of, I can take so much. I can take criticism. You can call me something and it won't faze me, But people have insulted my driving. I've had incidences with my driving. I'm sure you didn't get that from the last point I made. It goes back to the fact that when people had said something to me regarding the fact of, oh, yeah, but we don't want to go with you on the motorbike because you're going to speed, or we don't want to go with you because you're going to do this. at the end of the day, the facts were there, right? I crashed. I'm not the best driver in the world. I never will be. I'm not Lewis Hamilton. I'm not Michael Schumacher. I'm not Leclerc. You know, it's just one of those things. But the criticism still was there. You know, it still annoyed me, and I couldn't take it. And I have to walk away from that and think, well, why? Why couldn't I take that criticism? I'll tell you why I couldn't take the criticism, because it was the truth, and the truth hurts. And it takes a lot for you to sort of silence your own ego and look at it in a perspective and think, okay, well, they're saying this either because, you know, they want me to grow as a person, or they really are criticizing me. Either or, you learn from it. You take it and you think, okay, it's a criticism. And if you can't take it, you can't learn, you can't build from it. But then they won't help you again. And you could take that criticism and feel like that you're getting attacked. And so in turn, when you take that criticism and you take it on and feel like it's an attack, you then say something back that would upset them. You say something back that, you know, they did years ago, or a month ago, or last week, or maybe it was a habit that they've done. But it's not, you haven't said that in a way to build them or to make them grow as a person. You've weaponized that because you haven't liked what they've said and made you feel. Again, everything that I say is just food for thought. My final question is, do we just normalize everything? Or do we normalize too much? There have been many factors in my depression. I'm not the only one with it. I won't be the only one with it. I won't be the only one to deal with it. We're all human. People are unique, absolutely. But we all share the same sort of layout, don't we? You know, we're all wired in a similar sort of way. We end up desensitized to a lot of stuff due to the fact of the way that we have evolved, especially around technology. You know, anything and everything that you could think of, almost, to an extent, you could research and find online. My point being with that one is, do you think that as a collective, as humanity, we've normalized too much of what makes us what makes things special? Let's take, for instance, back in the Victorian ages or 1600s, they barely showed any flesh. And then men would get excited the minute they'd see a wrist or an ankle, and you'd be like, oh my God, have you seen that ankle? Fantastic. But now it's all for show, and you can just go find it on the web, you know, narcotics or anything like that, find it online, you know. It's not really hard to get anymore. Nothing's hard to get. And that numbs us down to it. It really does numb us down to it. And if we get numbed down to stuff like that, we end up chasing more, which then, during all of this, we lose our humanity, we lose touch with ourselves. That's what I believe. So I believe. I have had these thoughts with me for years. And I feel like I'm starting to come at peace with who I am. Maybe. I think a little bit. There's still years to go. Maybe years, I might not wake up tomorrow. But, you know, I will always be learning. And I wanted to speak to you guys and leave these with with everybody.
God, please, no! 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 No!
Maybe you've had the same thought, you know, I'm not unique in any which way. Whatever I can do, somebody else can do better. It's that simple. You know, I'm not the biggest, but I'm also not the smallest. I'm not the stupidest, but I'm not the smartest, you know. Stupidest, dumbest. There you go, see. We could start a good community here, and we could do something and maybe push for a change and evolve in the right way that helps protect others. Not just help protect, but we're all human. We're all in this together, aren't we? You know, the world's going some awful way, and it's. I don't know. I just want to put my voice out there for one of those that thinks that maybe we could do something different and live together better. Anyway, if you like it, please follow. I'll see you all soon, and you take care, right? And take care of each other. Yeah. Come on, dog. We're off.